So I got a pop filter.
Ooh.
I got that awesome camera from Phil Billy, and then the man who makes the music, Nick Van Sutter's got me a pop filter. So I'm all decked out now. Decked out.
Decked.
That sounds like dicked. I shouldn't say.
Decked. Dicked out.
Out of curiosity, have you
tricked out and dicked out?
Tricked out and dicked out. You tricked out, dicked out, fucking micked out. I don't know what micked out is, but
time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible gaming podcast.
Rusty shaking off the rust. Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. We're back in the new year, and yes, this is just my voice now. With me, I am not alone, and mostly I am never alone. With me is my intrepid co-host.
It's Neil, a.k.a. Tiny Wizard.
And welcome to 2023. This is our first live show that we are recording in 2023. Last week's show was, of course, pre-recorded, so we have a ton of fan traction to get through, especially the fan traction for Horrible Game Awards as well, which happened. But we're also probably going to talk about something else. I don't actually think we discussed what the talking point was going to be yet.
I know we had a brief discussion. I think it actually happened on stream when we did that stream.
That's true. We did a stream.
I think well, I'm sure we'll have a conversation.
The
about
pizza
something.
bet is resolved, everybody out there. We are even on pizza bets. He received his pizza. We are fair, even Stevens, until the next pizza bet comes around. All right, well, we'll get into it. I think we talked about the FTC stuff again, because a lot of FTC stuff happened in the 3 weeks that we were off, as that epic battle continues to wage its war. So we might talk about that today. Either way, we have a ton of fan traction to get through, so I don't know. But before we get to that, we have to thank the people who help us make this possible. Number one, thank you to Mark Bell for the fancy graphic behind our ugly mugs that you are seeing. He does all the graphics here for us on the channel. And then number two, thanks to the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Sliders, for doing the theme song to this show and all the shows here at Old Man Gaming. With that, we will be right back with fan interaction.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to our first segment, ladies and gentlemen. Our most important segment, that's fan interaction, where we, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans. Now, I want to say, I promised you guys this, and I'm going to deliver. We have not done fan interaction since the second week of December.
In a whole year.
So, just so that everybody knows, obviously we don't record a show on the week that we do Horrible Game Awards. All of that is pre-recorded. And then we actually pre-recorded last week's show because of where the holidays fell this year. And honestly, it was kind of nice for the first time ever to take a 2-week-in-a-row break off from the podcast. But that being said, which weirdly I ended up finding a way to fill it with space with stuff anyway for the channel. We released a whole new show and did a whole new stream. So in any case, aside from my weird workaholic ways for things that don't make me any money, we are going to read all your fan interactions from every episode that we haven't read fan interactions for yet. That's how we roll. God, I hope we never actually get popular sometime. Well, that's not true. I hope we get popular, but if we get popular, fan interaction is going to have some changes made to it.
Oh, yeah.
Like more popular than we are right now. I don't know. All right, so this is from the episode 171, and that is 22 in review. This is specifically from the episode in which myself, Neil, and Philbilly, the full Triforce complete, read out basically all of our ups and downs from 2022, everything we liked, everything we didn't like, that sort of thing. So we have 4 comments on this bad boy. And you know who never misses a trick? William Hohen's going to start us off. Hi! Exclamation point. Nice nails, parentheses, dad's duty indeed, laugh out loud. Yes, I had pretty nails. I actually still have a little bit of stuff on there from there. I don't know. I just don't care if my nails are pretty. I don't know. I'm at a point in my life where I don't care if anybody's impressed with me, I think.
I think that happens to everybody when they get older.
Like, I just don't care. Like, I went to the store in these and went out. Like, I don't know. Like, I got the woman I wanted. She's upstairs and still married to me. I haven't received any divorce papers, so she's still married to me. So, like, she's kind of locked in because we got a kid. So, I'm good. I just don't need to impress anybody. As long as she's good, I'm good. But continuing. Amazing year for indies indeed. Not to remove anything from the devs, but I feel the tools to make games are becoming more and more accessible. And it's giving great creative-minded people to be able to create amazing games with less resources. I love indie games so much. Blue Protocol tickets are like pay to not have to play. This is so effing dumb. I'll say I liked 2022. Year of gaming. I've played a bunch of great games, parentheses, not necessarily from 2022 though. One thing I'll say, I feel the year went by so fast, and not only gaming wise, but in general. I came to the conclusion that the older you get, the faster time goes by. Does that make sense? Thanks for the show and all of the entertainment this year. I really wish you the best holidays. Hope you'll stop being sick. Obviously, that didn't work out for me. Or won't get sick if you're not already. And keep on gaming. Cheers. # Merry Christmas. So, William, first of all, it was a great year for the indie devs. I mean, there was so many good indie devs. So many good indie games. Why can't I remember it? Rogue something 2 came out. We had a bunch of other good indie games. River City Girls 2 came out. The indie games are like hitting on all cylinders right now. I feel like they're where it's at, and he's not wrong. The technology is making leaps and bounds forward, and as it does, it becomes more accessible to the indie devs. And when it becomes, I'm moving this the wrong way, is what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I keep adjusting the camera, guys. It's just a little bit off center. And as it does, we are able to get better and better games out of it from the indie developers. And that's one of the things that I've been pointing out is that the indie devs are doing games that are honestly much better than the AAA. They're on par with the AAA, even sometimes graphically.
Yeah, it's becoming very easy for people to make games anymore, especially when there's a lot of stuff that, like, the younger generation now has grown up with things like Mario Maker that are like, you know, baby's first video game development, you know, stuff like that really opens the doors to people to get a foot in and, you know, get the basics out of the way. And then from there, you know, what's like Unity, you can download Unity for free basically, and just do whatever you want with it. And lo and behold, people are doing that.
Well, and you think about Unreal 5 coming out, that only makes Unreal 4 cheaper and easier to get access to, you know, and that kind of thing. I think that, like, the other thing you look at examples like, I mean, in the Game Awards, we always rip them apart every year. But, I mean, you look at some of the Game Award nominations, we had Stray and we had Plague Tale Requiem. Graphically, they're on par with most of the games that are out right now, and they are both heavy indie developers, you know? So I think we are, and I love that, because what that means is that's going to put pressure on the AAA developers to at least release quality games, because there's going to come a point where people stop spending so much money for AAA games. Honestly, I kind of feel like that's already slightly happened. I mean, yes, we still get overhyped for these big names ones. Yes, we still put a lot of money in the pre-order bin, but how quick do these things go on sale nowadays? Super fast. And I feel like that's because nobody's really spending that initial money anymore, especially with places like Steam that are just constantly giving deals away, basically. So, I don't know. I feel like the indies are really putting pressure on the AAA games, and it was a banner year for indies, in my opinion. Moving on. The tickets to not play is it's stupid. It's just dumb. I don't know why you would pay to not have to play your own thing, but whatever. Funny thing, Will. Time dilation is a real thing, and the more time that you experience, the shorter the amount of time that the amount of time feels. So, like, when you're 6, everything feels really long because you've been very young. And as you get older, they've done studies on this where, like, the amount of time that you experience feels faster because you've experienced so much of it. So, as you get older and older, things feel like they pass faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
It's actually a true thing.
Yep.
And then we go to thanks for the show. Yes, I hope you guys had a happy holidays as well, sir.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Have a froggy. Hey, I'm rusty, man. I haven't done this in 2 weeks. Give me a break.
Happy holidays.
And as far as not being sick, I don't know what it's going to take for my voice to ever get better at this point.
That's the thing. It's like
you're
not sick anymore.
No,
this is literally just how it is.
I will say every morning I cough up a piece of phlegm that's about the size of my nose, and then I'm good for the rest of the day. And I've been taking Mucinex for like a month just because hopefully that gets rid of whatever's in there still. But I'll cough up a huge wad of snot, and then I don't cough up anything for the rest of the day. I don't feel sick, but yeah, my throat just sucks. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about this at this point other than just ride it out. All right, so let's move on. We move on to Backdraft. There's no in between. I either have a lot to say or a little. Fair enough. And then he says, "Woo, woo indeed, sir." And then Cedric, Jason posted Ladybug, Mosquito, Ant, Bee, Death, which I am going to assume all resorts to Grounded because he's very into Grounded right now, I think. All right, so that is that episode. So we can move on to the Horrible Game Awards comments, which I always love to read because they're usually like, "Why did this win?" So here we go. Newest first. William Owen, hi! Exclamation point. First off, I'm happy to have been a part of this amazing award show. Now for 10 Tons, seems nobody knew them, but they made many games. Their first one that you might be familiar with is Crimson Land, back in the days that they had quite a nice success with it. Yes, so happy about The Quarry. Loved those games. I totally agree with Phil. Weird West is so amazing. Haven't finished it yet, but gosh, I enjoy playing that. What a great and entertaining award show. Thank you once again for the invitation to participate in it. It was great. It's nice to feel that you're part of a community as nice as the Old Man Gaming one. Cheers, #happy holidays. So, we had William Holwyn on. He presented the award for Best Soundtrack. Thank you for coming on. Will, we really appreciated it. And honestly, yeah, I thought it came out pretty good this year. I thought the 4th annual was definitely one of my favorites so far. Without a doubt. I was glad to see The Quarry win. I felt like that was something that needed to happen for a while. Weird West looks really entertaining. And one of these days I'm going to have to try it. And yeah, thanks for participating, man. I really appreciated it. All right, so moving on, Jason then says, Grounded was very interesting to see how a game progresses bit by bit, systems added and then removed, then brought back in a more balanced way. Watching the backyard evolve as they add areas of varying types like the hedge is a very play-formy idea, while the sandbox is an area requiring special protection. Also, watching a practically non-existent combat progression to a smooth progression, parentheses aside from a bump here and there, and I will not name ass. I will not name names, ass. I need to hit the read more button. Oh, assistant manager and Black Widow. It feels like names. There's also several different ways you get the story. The files you pick up give you insight mostly into Omniant, the tapes mostly into Wendell and his through process from inventing the spacer to leaving Omniant to his dealing with what's going on, and the cutscenes that document how you get shrunk and why you're in the backyard. Then there's just the little touches of things like the ant totem, a homage to the forest, and just the fact that the backyard looks like it's been lived in. Parentheses, especially the kids' stuff like the Barbie car, the totally not He-Man with his body, head, and leg in different parts, and the toy castle or the Frankenstein-inspired Etch-a-Sketch or the cutie catcher. Grounded is great. I'm glad. Did it win Experience of the Year? I feel like it did. Did Grounded win Experience of the Year? Or did Dead by Daylight? I think Dead by Daylight won multiplayer, but I think Grounded won the Experience.
I think it was Grounded because I think we had a conversation about how it had been nominated multiple times, but then finally won.
Yeah, and what's interesting is it kind of like, yes, it was Grounded. It was Grounded for Best Experience. I think that what's interesting about it is it's been out for 2 years, and while Best Experience is a perfect place for it, but it just launched this year, so it was actually nominated in new IP too. I think that I'm really glad to see it. I think that Grounded is a shining example of what games as service can be, and what even more so a beta or early access can be. Instead of a giant cash grab. I mean, it was a cash grab. They did get money out of you, but they did it in a way that was very positive. That's how the process is supposed to be for that kind of thing. And I think that every games as service or early access should really take note of that. Anything to add to that, Neil? Anything at all? Being very quiet today, sir. Okay, all right.
It goes back. I'm trying to hear you.
Are you still having a hard time hearing me?
A little bit, yeah. I'm gonna play around with the settings a little bit. Carry on.
Yeah, I don't know what else to do on my end.
No, that's the thing. It's with the new camera. I'm trying to.
Yeah,
Does this increase me? Does that increase me at all, or is it? It doesn't tell me.
You sound the same to me.
Okay. I was gonna say it just I right clicked and said user volume. You, me, I don't. It's not very clear.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you mean? All right, so moving on. Jason then continues. Dead by Daylight does PvP different. I ain't usually much of a PvP person. If it was just killer and survivors trying to kill each other, I'd not like it probably. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think it's one of the only asymmetric games that really works, personally. How many asymmetric... I feel like Dead by Daylight's doing what so many games have tried to do in the last, 4 or 5 years and failed pathetically. Predator didn't pull it off. The first one was the monster game, Evolve, and that failed miserably. Then Dead by Daylight comes along and just nails it. They nailed it. They get asymmetrical play in a way that I don't think other companies do, personally. So it was kind of, they do PvP differently. They do it. If you want an asymmetrical multiplayer game, that's them,
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
That's definitely a genre that needs more. It needs an evolution. It needs a new iteration of it to really refine the experience.
I agree.
Because it's a base idea. The PvP, the 1v3, 1v4, however you want to say it, the asymmetrical multiplayer. It's got a great idea to it. It's a great concept, but there's not been a whole heck of a lot of iteration with it.
Well, and the Dead by Daylight company is making a new asymmetrical game. That one where you build your vault and then other people have to raid into it.
Yeah,
which I'm very nervous about, but at the same time, it's the Dead by Daylight company, so I would love to see an asymmetrical thing kind of work. You know,
I hope and pray that game turns out great, because that right there, I remember even watching that trailer and being like, oh wow, this is super cool. You know, it'd be even better if you could build them and have people try to break in, and sure as shit, that's exactly what it was.
That's what it is. Yeah. I'm very interested to see how that goes and whether or not they pull that one off, you know, because that would be an iteration on it, and that would be interesting to see, because they're the only company that I know of who have knocked out the asymmetrical thing, in my opinion. I mean, Friday the 13th is kind of flash in the pan because it's so buggy almost. It's very culty. I don't think of it like Dead by Daylight actually is a solid multiplayer experience. All right, Asylum 66, you know he's going to disagree with everything. Let's see. Best soundtrack, Midnight Fight Express should have won. 1 point, lost by 1 point. Who didn't vote? I like Midnight Fight Express, but honestly, I wanted Sonic to win. I know that one didn't win, but I was a Sonic guy. I wanted the Sonic soundtrack to win, so I can't agree with you on that, Asylum. Honestly, I wanted fucking Sifu soundtrack to be on there, but like I said, Sifu didn't get into anything. Best narration. Yay! These games are great. Oh my god. Play the game with your wife and then make her make the decisions. It's great fun with a loved one shouting. That's an interesting idea. I might make Melissa do that, one of these preludes. That would be fun. Best new IP. Good winner. Love the game. Best new IP was Elden Ring, right?
I think it was.
I gotta bring this bad boy up so I can remember. Yes, Elden Ring by 1 point. Yeah, I mean Elden Ring deserved it. Probably Elden Ring deserved to be on more of our list, but it's just one of those things that we gotta go by the community, and only so many people played so many things. Best acting. Demand a recount. Hashtag Rami was cheated. Look, man, I'm sorry. I liked Rami. I liked Brenda Song. Ashley Birch knocked it out of the park. Definitively, that game might be one of my least favorite overall Borderlands, just because it kind of ruined Borderlands for me. And I still can't take it away from Ashley Birch's performance of Tiny Tina. She takes a character that you should find grating and only want in small sittings. She does it through the entire game as the narrator and leaves you wanting more. And that you just don't get better than that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and she very much made that character. And it's that kind of duality of her being a character, but also being the one that's driving the story by being the character, because it's a tabletop thing. It was very interesting.
It was very interesting, and like I said, if you go back to Borderlands 2 and you play that, you're laughing at every Tiny Tina line, but you're not thinking in your head, I want this character to be in a whole game. You're thinking this is a fun one-off character that has a lot of funny lines, and that's it. She's a character that normally would be extremely obnoxious in large portions. And this is arguably the largest portion you can get from a character's narration. And that was my only part of that game that I loved, was more Tiny Tina lines, you know?
Yeah.
And then he says, glad to see Dead by Daylight rocking the charts. So was I. Great game. Happy New Year, everyone. Hashtag Remy was cheating. My only problem with Dead by Daylight, is that their monetization is super, super predatory, and I do not like that. I don't like it at all. Moving on. Kayla. I actually screamed in excitement when William said exclamation point. Yes. And William responded to her, happy to have provided some kind of entertainment. Dude, the William exclamation point is... I know, we got it live, Kayla. That's what was best. Like, if you saw me on camera, I clapped and, like, pumped my fist. I'm so excited. Danny, Lottie people should not have to listen to my voice. I apologize. I'm not gonna heart this comment, Danny. Your voice is fine. It was a wonder and it was magical to have you on the show. Your voice is splendid. You should use your voice more. I do not, in any way, shape, or form, I can't heart that because love your voice. You were great on the show, and you were great presenting. We really appreciate you being here. And I even responded to her and said, don't be ridiculous, madam. You were wonderful. Then we have Bloody Nose, who we're going to have to get you in next year. We're going to have to get you in next year on the committee, I think. GG's on the best soundtrack to metal. I wanted TMNT, but I am biased. TMNT is a great soundtrack, too. Like, I would have been happy with that winning as well. Like, I wasn't upset with Hellsinger winning, but TMNT was great. I still wanted a Sonic. I still wanted Sonic. I did respond to him and say, I'm with you on TMNT, though I was happy with all the noms in this category. Anything to add to that, man?
What?
Anything to add to any of this?
My thoughts and feelings on the
Hellsinger
soundtrack situation.
Yeah, you're really upset about it.
Yes, I am. Don't get me wrong. I love metal. I love rock. I love that sort of stuff. But I think a soundtrack comprised of licensed music, I don't think super counts.
Again, we're not talking about just licensed music. Like, the literal game is played with the music.
Right. That's what
I'm
saying.
That's the thing. Like, you have to, like, if it was just like, oh, he picked a bunch of songs to be a playlist in the background, I'd be with you. But, like, the music itself creates the game. Without that music, without the choices that they made, the game can't exist.
It would be the same thing if, like, Rock Band won Best Soundtrack.
Well, I think we could go down a hole on this, so I'm gonna walk away from this
Yeah.
one. Bloody Nose then says, 4th annual, but my first one. I'm a little late to the party, but excited for more. Thank you, Bloody Nose. Thank you for joining us in 2022. Also, just quick couple of shout outs. Bloody Nose and William Hooin are also both content creators on YouTube. Please check them out. They have wonderful content. Bloody Nose does so much fun stuff, especially with this other guy named Gibby, and they're just both crazy people, and it's a lot of fun. And then William Hooin does a lot of very surreal playthroughs, plus he has the Not the Fuck podcast when they get to it, and that's a lot of fun to listen to it also. So check them out on YouTube. All right, so that's the second show, Neil. That's the second show. Are you still having a hard time hearing me?
A little bit.
Oh my God, is this gonna be a problem?
I think I just have to get used to it.
Okay, all right. I don't know what I ought to do over here to turn my shit up anymore.
Is you can't. I just have to. I have to get used to it, and like I said, I've been screwing around with the sound settings. I can't tell if I need to turn things up or turn them down. Because if I turn it down, then I have a hard time hearing what you're saying. But then if I turn it up too high, it just sounds like you're not saying words. It's just
Right. All right. So final thing. We only got 2 comments on our most anticipated. 2 quick comments. We had William Homan. Hi! Exclamation point. Hell to the shit. And it's triple William today. Happy New Year to the whole OMG community. All right, might as well tell you my top 3 most anticipated games of 2023. He says, 1, After Image, parentheses, a 2D Metroidvania game. I don't think I've heard about this game. And then, have you heard of After Image, man?
No, I have not, but I'm always a sucker for a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
So to the Googles I go.
To the Googles I go. He then says number 2, the re-release of Persona 3 Portable on modern console. Then he says number 3, Oxenfree 2. Which, yeah, I'm a little bit nervous to see what happens with them being owned by Netflix now. But yes, that should be an interesting game. And then he says, great show. Looking forward to the great entertainment you're going to provide us. Cheers. Parentheses 2023. Yes, welcome to the new year. And then Jason says, I've stopped anticipated games. It ain't worth it no more. I can't not anticipate games. I just can't not. I see them. I get excited for them. Like, I will say I'm much more cynical about my feelings on it. I will be much more like, I'm excited for that, but what is it? Or I'm excited for that, but when is that coming out? Or I'm excited for that, but that's going to be a nightmare, you know? But it's impossible for me to not physically be anticipating games. I don't know. What about you?
I am sorry. I was watching the trailer for After Image. It does look like a banger.
Yeah.
So yeah, anticipation for games. I don't know, man. Like, I can't tell if it's me getting older or me getting cynical. Sometimes those go hand in hand. But like, there's some games where it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. You know, like the new Zelda. Now that we have a name for it, I still can't remember the name of it. Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. Like Tears of the Kingdom. I know for a fact I'm excited for that game. I'm just not like, chomping at the bit. Like, okay, man, when's it coming? I haven't felt like that for anything since God of War Ragnarok was the last time where it was like 2 weeks out and I was like, okay, all right, like this, I'm ready for this. Like, that's kind of how it is. Like, I feel like anymore, if you get excited for a game, like you're anticipating it, for a fact one way or another it's going to be delayed or not finished or broken or this, that, and the other thing. And I think it's just now to the point to where it's like, with very few exceptions, like you already know the shenanigans you're going to be dealing with ahead of time. And I think that just so supersedes everything else.
Like I said, like I see Wild Hearts trailer. I can't help but be excited to try Wild Hearts. At the same time, there is a little angry old man in the back of my head who's just like, meh, you know what's going to be wrong with that? It's not going to have much of this. It's the same with Skull and Bones. Like, I have been excited for Skull and Bones since its announcement. I'm still excited for it. But there is a very loud old man in my head like, that's going to suck. Everybody's going to quit playing after 2 days because of the bugs, and it's just going to be Anthem 2.0. You like, that kind of stuff just goes on in the back of my head now where it didn't before. But there's still anticipation there. I will say I am anticipating the next 2 sequels to Zelda Breath of the Wild, because they had Breath of the Wild, then they had Tears of the Kingdom. They're definitely going to have Sweat of the City, and then they're going to have Piss of the Wasteland, because it's always an expulsion and then an area.
Yeah. I think it is a line between there's hype and anticipation. I feel like. And I think as time goes by, I move from the hype more towards the anticipation.
Yeah.
Anticipation is more, hey, something is coming.
Yeah.
But,
Well, and sometimes I anticipate, sometimes I even get anticipated even of the train wreck. Like I get... Yeah. Like I'm like, ooh, Starfield's going to come out. Oh, my God, the fire that ensues afterwards, or something like that. Like, I get very, like...
I think that's kind of where I am right now with Skull and Bones. I do not like. I'm never gonna play the game.
All the fingers are crossed. All my fingers are crossed
playing the game, and I hope so badly for you and your sake that it is a good game. It is an enjoyable game. But I am anticipating every bit of that game to be broken, buggy, disappointment.
Look,
like through and through.
I am fairly certain I'm not getting into the next tech test. So just because of what they've said on the Discord that I may or may not be in that I shouldn't be talking about. So I'm just going to talk about it. From what I experienced, it was in no way, shape, or form buggy. I had almost no bugs whatsoever. There was a couple of crashes, which are to be expected from a beta. There was a couple of those things, but like, it was extremely polished from that point of view. The thing that I'm worried about is I feel we're in a situation where they are about to present a product that the public wishes it was something else. And that's the problem. And no, when you get into that position, it doesn't matter how good it is. It doesn't matter how polished it is. It doesn't matter how great it is. If the people who are supposed to be your consumers want you to be making something else and don't want the thing you're giving them, you're in trouble. And I think that's the real problem. And I think what's even worse is I think it could stand one of those like cult games if it wasn't a games as service. I think it's one of those that like if it was able to survive long enough in the wild to where people's expectations of it could drop off and they could just play it for what it is, then it would have a resurgence. But unfortunately, it's not that kind of game. It's a games as service game. It needs people to be on it. You know, it needs to people to jump in. That's how you make your money on those things, sort of things. So I think they are in a bit of trouble. Nonetheless, it serviced me in all the ways I wanted to be serviced. It's just from what I understand of the general public at large, I don't know that they are that happy. But yeah, there is anticipation, especially anticipation for moments too. I think we're living in a very strange, we're living in a very event-filled gaming industry right now.
Event-filled.
Yeah, I mean,
way to put it.
It's the Wild West slowly becoming not the Wild West, and we're experiencing the growing pains of that, the fires of that, the wars of that, and I think that like it's only going to get crazier in the next 10, 20 years, honestly.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to do this that long, everybody out there, but I don't know if I want to have a gaming podcast when I'm 60, but I'm not going to write it off either, because what the fuck else am I going to be doing? If I make it to 60. Listen to my voice. All right, so that's Fanteraction. 35 fucking minutes in.
I was going to say.
We're going to do some recap of the FTC battles that we have missed out on and not been able to talk about. And then we're going to do a massive odds and ends because we're behind on that as well. So,
you know, actually, what if we just kind of roll that in as like an odds sort of situation? Because you said you only had a few.
I only have two.
have a book's worth. Yeah. So yeah, why don't we just like roll it into one?
Just do a big odds and ends.
Yeah, just kind of make that your first odds. We'll talk about it and then go from there.
All right. Well, then there you go. We're planning on the fly. We're rusty, ladies and gentlemen. But we are back, and we will be back in just a second.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, we're back. Odds and ends, super big odds and ends, including some FTC review, I guess, is what we're going to do. So we had already decided that we're going to start with the FTC review, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what we've missed so far. Here's the bullet parts of what we weren't able to get to. Oh, I only have one odds and ends. Wow. I thought I had two. I guess I only had one. So while we were away, and you guys were listening to pre-recorded stuff, basically the FTC filed suit, which we kind of talked about it a little bit on an odds and ends. They filed suit, so now that goes to judicial as to whether or not Microsoft's buyout of Activision is a legal and proper thing. And at that point, the whole reverse name calling thing just kicked into heavy overdrive, including there was, and I don't think we got to talk about, well, I think maybe we touched on it a little bit at the Game Awards, but there was that Xbox basically pulled out of the Game Awards. There was absolutely no trailers for any Xbox games or any Xbox exclusives at the Game Awards. Leading cuck for Xbox, Ryan McCaffrey That's mean. I like Ryan McCaffrey. He's a cool guy. I don't want to be mean to him. Just on the off chance he listens to this, he's just very, very, very happy with Xbox at all times. He runs their Xbox podcast. He's a very positive dude when it comes to Xbox. I am not. So that I don't know. I don't want to be mean to him though. He's a really nice guy. He's got a cool dog. He's a cool dude. I don't want to like give him shit on that. But he is definitely usually very how do I say this without insulting him? He's very attached to Phil Spencer's hip, I guess is the best way to say it. In the Phil Spencer cheering camp, I guess. And he wrote a scathing article, an editorial just from himself, saying that Xbox has kind of failed us in the last year, where they've bought all these studios up, promised all these games, and they have failed to deliver for 2 years running now. And he even mentioned it, like, is this because of the FTC thing? Did they pull out to make themselves look weaker? Which in that case, mission accomplished. But what are you accomplishing other than hurting your fan base at this point? So we don't have any release dates for any of their myriad of first party games that are supposed to come out next year. We've got release windows, Starfield first half
this year.
Yeah, this year. For Starfield first half, Redfall first half, no actual dates whatsoever. We continue this with the back and forth name calling. First of all, Brazil has decided that the buyout is not a problem. They have no problems with the buyout, so that's a win in the Microsoft camp. However, the United Kingdom have decided they have to probe deeper. They do not believe that they can come to a conclusion with the evidence that have been presented to them. So they are going to do more investigations into it because of how complex it is. I don't think it's that complex, though. I mean, honestly, a huge company is buying up another huge AAA developer and probably one of the only remaining independent AAA developers out there. But aside from that, then Phil Spencer decided to fire into the media that the only people really blocking this, the only people who really have a problem with this, is Sony. So Phil Spencer has resorted to some of the name calling now. I do want to hammer down on that though, and that's kind of where we are at right now with the back and forth. Sony is not the only person who has a problem with this, Phil. Like, you have multiple world governments looking into this and the legality of this. To say that Sony is the only person raising any concerns with the Activision buyout is ridiculous. First of all, I'm raising concerns with the Activision buyout. I know there's a lot of people out there who are raising concerns with the Activision buyout. We're not just talking about companies. He is. Okay, fair enough. But you are talking about a lot of world places that have started to look into this, started to really consider this. And I'm going to say this right now, despite Sony's arguments, I think the FTC would have filed suit anyway. They didn't like this from the start.
Right.
They didn't like this from the start. They immediately started investigating. I don't think that Sony whining, which is what they're doing. I mean, I'm not giving Sony any props, okay? Sony in this specific situation is right in the fact that Microsoft owning Activision is bad for gaming, it's bad for business, and personally, I think it if not crosses, but borders the line on antitrust laws. That being aside, I don't think Sony is wrong on this. They're still whining. Them whining had no effect on the FTC filing this suit and looking into this further, in my opinion.
I think that had Microsoft gone for Activision Blizzard before Bethesda, we might be having a different conversation. Because
really?
Time is, I think so. Like, I think the same issues would be raised, but I don't think the government would be pushing it as hard as it is, because Bethesda's already big enough. You know, that one was a surprise to us. We thought that one was wild in and of itself, and then this one got announced. It was like, holy shit. I think that with the Blizzard deal, it's like they built a wall with Bethesda and the Activision Blizzard deal is like the cement that keeps the bricks together.
Yeah.
To really just start to wall out Sony.
Well, not even just Sony. I mean, think about it.
I mean, technically, like Nintendo too, and then like they've been cutting all these deals. Like, they've committed to having Call of Duty on Nintendo consoles
which is insane.
For 10 years, which is they haven't been there forever because they never make money. Nobody ever buys them, and they're always like a dumb
junk
port.
Yeah.
Nobody wants them in the first place, but that's all. It's all just for show.
Yeah.
To try to kick the can down the road, push it over the goal line. Like, that's all they're doing at this point. And Microsoft making moves by, like, if it was intentional, like not showing up at the Game Awards with literally anything to show, or not doing X, Y, and Z, and just making themselves look so absolutely feeble, at least trying to make themselves look feeble, it is ridiculous. And I don't think that it's not gonna change people's viewpoints on it, even if it does end up getting pushed through.
I mean, I think it gets pushed through. I think at the end of the day, this is going to be about money. And I think that at the end of the day, Microsoft is the bigger guy, and they're going to end up winning this, which sucks. But end of this aside, I do want to also say that anybody who thinks that they didn't have trailers for the Game Awards that they pulled out, you got to be insane, man. If you remember 3 years ago when they did their last XO show, their last Xbox whatever, the online thing, and they showed all those trailers that they forced their developers, like State of Decay 3 and Outworlds 2, to just
Outer Worlds trailer was even
making fun of it.
Making fun of the fact that they had literally nothing to show but a logo.
The idea that they didn't have something for the Game Awards, when that's their bread and butter, is throwing trailers at us, is crazy. They definitely pulled out. They definitely had trailers because they have these games. They have these games in development. They could easily just put a new package of Redfall together, put a new package of Starfield together, and show them at the Game Awards. And I'm 100% positive they had those packages. They did not show them because of their weakness. Because they want to be weak. I think that, look, I'm cynical. I think that this is going to eventually go through with just a buttload of sanctions, but at the same time, I want it to fail. I really do want it to fail. It is not good for gaming for one first-party company to own this many AAA studios. It just isn't. And anybody who doesn't think them having all these AAA studios isn't crazy, you're crazy, man. I mean, what's out there now, AAA, that's independent, that's not owned by Sony or Nintendo or Microsoft? Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Is there any other AAA, like AAA studio? Capcom, I guess?
Yeah, I was going to
say there's some Japanese studios that are still around, but like, I mean, there's Square, I guess, but Square sucks.
No, not actually, because I didn't put it on my odds because I already had enough stuff, but Square and Sony have been cutting deals for exclusivity for Final Fantasy stuff.
Yeah, they have been. They have been. So, like, Square's always been Sony friendly, but, like, true independence, it's not there. And, like, this makes it even more so. And I don't like that. I don't like that. But that's where we are with the FTC stuff. Again, I stand firmly on the fence that I don't want this deal to go through, and I don't think it's good for gaming. And I also stand firmly on the fence that both companies are being whiny little bitches about it. Really whiny little bitches. Like at this point, the FTC filed suit. Why hold trailers back? You think your trailers for other games are in any way, shape, or form gonna like make them decide on the Activision Bethesda things? Like, okay, I'll give you hold Activision trailers back, but what is your Bethesda trailers gonna do for anybody? You know. All right, so we can move on if you want, man. I only have one other one.
Well, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead with it.
It's a short one. It's kind of a weird one. Eidos, which owns Hitman and does all the Hitman games, has announced that they're repackaging all the Hitman games as one game. Hitman 1, 2, and 3 will all be packaged as one game called World of Assassination. So it'll be Hitman World of Assassination. And they basically say this is overall going to be cheaper for everybody because it's something with like if you already got it, you don't have to pay as much for the DLC or the other games. Like it's something like, oh, you've got 3, well now you get the 1 and 2, or the DLCs. And if you don't have it, then you get them all together as one smaller price. So looks like a good thing overall. I think it's still a kind of a weird choice, but yeah, they say that packaging them all together is basically like if you don't have any Hitman games, it's cheaper because it's all going to be included in one cost, and if you have Hitman games, it's going to make the DLC overall cheaper. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with.
It wasn't a big one. Yeah, it wasn't a big one. I just thought, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead then and start rolling into mine.
Sure.
Ubisoft is actually doing a good thing.
Oh.
Yeah. Ubisoft is doing a good thing. Apparently, they are giving people copies of their games that they bought on Google Stadia on their Ubisoft Connect account.
That is awesome.
If you bought it on Stadia and you have an Ubisoft Connect account, well, guess what? You get the game. And they're working with a bunch of other publishers too to transition game saves over. So that's super cool.
That's great.
As a reminder, Google Stadia dies this month, so it's the nightmare's almost over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Especially for people who bought into Stadia, I feel really bad for those people.
As you can see, I can't get there it is, right up there, my Google Stadia box that I got for free.
Yeah, I think that it is a bummer. It is a bummer. But yeah, I'm glad that some of these companies are kind of stepping up and helping the little guys get out of terrible situations that they ended up in.
Yeah. So we were talking shit about it the other day.
When aren't we talking shit?
When aren't we talking shit? That's fair. We were talking shit about it.
Old Man Gaming, 4 years of talking shit.
That's what we need to have the tagline be at 5 years. 5 years of shit talk.
5 years of shit.
So we were making fun of the fact that Christopher Judge's acceptance speech was so long.
Yeah.
Apparently it actually broke a world record.
Ha!
Yeah. His speech was officially 7 minutes and 59 seconds long. The previous holder of that record was Greer Garson, or Garson, I'm not quite sure. I've never even heard of this individual. At the Oscars in 1942 with 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh my God. That's
so.
I love that you know that like Jeff's like, what are we gonna do for the Xbox trailers? And then Christopher Judge got up there and started talking. He's like, never mind.
Some time.
Yeah, just let him go. Let him go.
Just let him go.
Play the music softly, like we're trying to get him off stage, but then just stop. That's funny. That's funny. That dude really crazied it out there.
Yeah, he did. He was very passionate, so I mean, I can't hold that against him.
We'd all be talking about him if it weren't for Bill Clinton.
Yeah, that's
Bill Clinton
true.
kind of saved him from
True.
the viral moment of the year, you know?
Yeah. So sad times here.
Ridgemont High.
Yeah, sad times at Ridgemont High.
It's the sequel where they all got old.
They all got old.
Their drug abuse has aged them poorly.
Epic is shutting down the servers for the Rock Band games on January 24th.
Had to happen.
Yeah, it had to happen eventually. No more download music. No more playing online, anything like that, all local play, all the DLC that you have now, you get to keep. But that's about it. Don't ever download. Don't ever delete it because you can't re-download it.
They were still making packs for that game. For the longest time, they would still like release musical tracks and stuff.
They had there was a period of time where they were releasing it with 5 to 10 songs every single week, which was insanity.
That's kind of cool.
Then they started to dial it back a little bit, and then it was like that's what they were releasing a month, and then it was like every other month, and then it was like 3 songs here, 4 songs there, and then it was just maintaining it. And now finally they're just like they're done. I imagine with the amount of management of rights they had to do, it got to be really expensive and a lot of overhead.
I mean, that game hadn't been released since what, 3? Like PlayStation 3, and then like, I mean, we're talking like 2 or 3 generations ago at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of surprised they're still releasing stuff for a system that's that old. You know, it is a bummer that these have gone away completely.
Yeah. So moving along here.
Sure.
According to an industry insider, Andy Robinson of VGC, Fable's in really bad shape. Really, really bad shape.
Told you.
So much so that he said that it might possibly be out by the end of the Series X's lifespan. Remember, it was supposed to be out in 22.
Yeah, it got a trailer.
It got an announced trailer.
In 21, right?
In 21, early 21, late 20, something like that.
Because it was right when the pandemic was heavy, if I recall correctly.
And we thought it was going to get like pushed back by like maybe a year or so, but we have literally only seen that announcement, and that is it.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, why did we ever see a trailer? Why did we ever see that? You know, like, and that did the rounds, you know. And honestly, this is what Ryan McCaffrey is talking about. Like, we're now seeing another trailer. You've sold us another bill of goods that is absolutely useless. Like, it's just there's nothing here. There's nothing good. You put that weird little 60-second CG of a toad eating a fairy together to get everybody, you know, a proverbial hard on. And now you don't have anything. You never had anything. That kind of stuff bothers me. That really bothers me because that's a lie. We've been lied to. Whenever somebody says to me nowadays, like, "Oh, Cyberpunk, it's a good game now," or like, "I like Cyberpunk now," this is what I go back to. It's not about what the game is right now. It was never about what the game is right now to me. It's about what they told you it was going to be for years and years and years, and that what they tried to sell you. And those two things don't line up. They never lined up, and that's my problem here. This Fable thing is just another thing. This guy told you it was going to come out fucking a year ago. They told you it was going to come out a year ago. It's not going to come out for another 4 probably. And like, we got a trailer for it. Why? You're already lying to us.
Yeah, I don't anticipate we see that game for a while. And,
no, hold my breath.
Yeah, I would.
Like I said, I only get excited for games that I see gameplay for.
Yeah,
that's simple.
I think if there was a time that if it was going to be coming out here soon-ish, it would be coming. We'd see a trailer.
Yeah.
At E3 this year, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So Russia apparently wants to make a Russian EA. That's interesting.
A Russian EA.
Yeah,
like Electronic Arts.
Electronic Arts. Yeah, they want to have a Russian Electronic Arts. They want to revitalize its games industry. I don't know what games industry that Russia had, but apparently that's something they want to do.
So do they want to actually get Electronic Arts to set up a studio in Russia?
No. They want to develop their own studio that is on par with Electronic Arts.
I think Putin's just like, yes. Can we get the games? The kids, they love the games now.
What if we make like Mario, but call him Sven?
What? Soviet dump game.
They actually have a series of goals and like a roadmap, which is crazy. One of them.
It's the only roadmap in gaming right now that has build the building on it. Like,
yeah.
First we find building, then we build company. Yes. Then we make games you play. Yes. They all star Vladimir Putin, and he can summon a bear at any time. He never wears a shirt.
In Soviet Russia, gameplay you.
My God.
So one of their goals, their end of the road goal, basically the highest goal they would like to achieve, is to receive a cash infusion of $50 billion.
From who?
In investments, just investments, to lead the whole gaming industry.
Step one. Announce gaming company. Step 2, I do not know. Step 3, $50 billion.
To be fair, that's a lot of the companies that already exist.
That's true. That's true. I shouldn't even fight it. Like that's CDPR. Hey, Witcher 4. $50 billion.
50 billion. We get $50 billion, then we let bear. We let bear off into sunset. It will be glorious for motherland.
Mother Russia. Make games about Mother Russia.
We make a game about the Mother Russia.
We don't even need to make games. We just collect $50 billion.
We just collect $50 billion, and we are video games.
Roadmap: collect $50 billion. Continue to collect $50 billion.
In absentia for all of eternity.
Hire no one.
Hire no one. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Back in October, there is a YouTube channel. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Relatively popular, I think, called Did You Know Gaming.
I do not know that one.
It's all very interesting trivia style. They talk about canceled projects,
okay.
Hardware stuff, company stuff.
Okay.
It's a lot of really interesting stuff. Like, I can literally throw those videos on and just binge the information.
That's cool.
For a whole hours on end. But back in October, they posted a video about a pitched Zelda Tactics game by Retro Studios.
Oh.
Well, in early December, the video was removed due to a copyright strike against it. And a lot of people were wondering if it was Nintendo because they get crazy with that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, as of December 28th, the video was reposted, and YouTube themselves deemed that there was no copyright claimed content there. And the claim was, in fact, done by Nintendo.
What? So YouTube, so they won? They won against Nintendo.
They won against Nintendo, yes.
Wow, nobody wins against Nintendo. Nobody know how.
So that's one of the main things about that channel that they kind of they've talked about in regard to Nintendo projects, is nobody wants to talk about anything at all because Nintendo is crazy about that sort of stuff.
Ridiculous.
And apparently, and of course, inadvertently, by doing this and the story getting out there, basically confirmed that there was a Zelda Tactics game that was pitched. There's a ton of other ones, there's Zelda ones, other Zelda ones, Metroid ones, Mario. It's not just Nintendo, it's other things. But yeah, I think that it's very interesting that they fought Nintendo basically and won, and
Nobody.
YouTube even was like, yeah, okay, because like, I don't know, I feel like YouTube gets crazy with that sort of stuff. And
You know, I'm gonna
their
say
idea of
right
fair
now,
use isn't.
as a guy who's had to deal with this process more than once because of the YouTube channel, YouTube almost has no hand in this. Like, the process doesn't even really include YouTube. They go out of their way to tell you that it has nothing to do with them, and that if you file claims that they deem false, they'll take your shit down, but it's not them. So, like, this is a really interesting story, because for Nintendo to be like, no, take that down, and then YouTube to step in and say, hey, they didn't do anything wrong, that's really weird. Because YouTube is more like the playground owner who never fixes anything, who just kind of watches it and makes sure that like nobody's doing drugs, but he's not gonna like step in to help anybody in a situation. Like, he's the parental supervisor that will
He'll
never
watch
help
a child fall off the monkey bars.
He'll watch a child get beaten unmercifully and just be like, hey man, that's what you get at this playground. It's a good playground, but that's what you get. For YouTube to step in, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. Especially against somebody like Nintendo, who is one of the kings of strikes and content attacks everywhere. Like, so like, that's big. That's a big thing, and very interesting.
So only two more.
Okay. We're
so
good.
The next one.
Probably
the
going
next
to have
one-
an early show, honestly.
Yeah, weirdly enough. Bethesda has launched a support page for Starfield, leading to rumors
What?
that the game is actually now going to launch before Redfall, contradicting literally all of the information that has been presented to us.
They're going to do a beta. That's what it's for.
I don't think they're going to do a beta.
They're going to do a beta. That's what they're doing.
don't-
It's going to be a closed NDA signed beta, but they're going to do a beta. There's no other reason they would do it. There's no way it's going to launch before Redfall. And if they do it, like, they're not launching they're launching a support page for a beta. I'm telling you, this is how it is with these things. I've been in like 7 betas. That is a sheer sign of a beta. So like, I don't know. I think they're going to do a beta now.
I mean, I'd be down for it.
A tech test of some sort, I think, is coming. The thing is, though, is if they do a beta, if Bethesda does a beta, you're not going to hear about it. Because Skull and Bones has been doing alphas and betas for literally years. But you don't hear about them because they only let in... First, they only let in the designers. Then they only let in, like, very, very specific people to test things. So the people that they're going to put on that thing aren't going to talk about it. You're not going to hear about it. It'll be a silent, just basically a stealth beta. But that's what they're doing. I'm telling you, that's what they're doing. They've got to be.
I'd be open to it.
I mean, unless they are going to release early. But if they release early, it's due to pressure, and that's a bad idea.
Well, I was listening to Podcast Unlocked a little bit the other day.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I clicked something in Discord by accident. Your face went away.
I was listening a little bit to Podcast Unlocked the other day, and that's one thing that they were talking about, the Starfield, and they basically like reaffirmed that Starfield's not getting any more delays. It's gonna be coming out, but still won't give us a release date.
Right.
And that's almost like it's almost like they're unsure of the fact that if they really want to like not get any more delays, like they know it's coming out this year and that's about it.
Yep.
So like they know
Yep.
there's something going on still, or they don't want to, put it on a timetable and say this is the date and then risk having to delay it again. I don't know. I feel like
no, you're on the. You're exactly on it. You telling me it's not going to get delayed, but then not telling me it's actually coming out at any point in time is the exact same thing. You're just trying to make it sound nicer in the media. That's all you're doing. You have a full year release window, and you're like, it's not getting delayed again. Better not, motherfucker. It's 12 months away. You promised it 6 months ago. So, like, yeah, it shouldn't. But that's the thing. They're not giving you a release date because it's the same. They've already delayed it. Like, that's as good as a delay for me. You telling me no release date, but saying it's not going to get delayed again? No, that's bullshit. Because that means that you could just release it anytime you want and be like, well, it didn't get delayed. It's fucking bullshit.
Right.
Don't tell me it's not going to get delayed again until you give me a release date. You're not giving me a release date. They're shady ass bitches.
So my last one.
Yeah, bring it on.
CES happened.
Yeah, it did. It did. A lot of techie stuff.
A lot of techie stuff.
Cards and numbers and graphics and all sorts of things that won't ever really exist.
At least not for a long time.
At least not for a long time.
But Sony had its presence there, and we were wondering if one of my predictions was going to come true right out of the gate. Apparently not. They wound up presenting their new Project Leonardo.
Yeah,
which is their accessibility controller. It kind of looks like a combination of like a donut and a frisbee. Looks kind of interesting.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But yeah, it's swappable components, which is great. You know that
it's an accessibility controller.
It's an accessibility controller. Yeah, they're opening the door to other people to be able to play games regardless of their abilities.
Can I do some tea on this one? Can I drop some tea on this one? Some negative shit. I think it's great. First of all, accessibility is always great. It's wonderful, and everybody should be able to play video games. Play video games is a wonderful form of art. Everybody should have access to it. Obviously, that's how I've always been. That being said, why the fuck are we on PlayStation 5 and we're getting an accessibility controller now? Microsoft had an accessibility controller 2 generations ago. What the fuck is going on? Like. Everybody's like showering them with praise, and I'm just like, about fucking time, man. I'm sorry to be that guy, but you should have had this accessibility controller a long time ago, especially since accessibility has been a hot button issue for 3 years, man. It's been a hot button issue since I started podcasting. So there's literally no reason that this shouldn't have been a thing long before now. Just that's my hot take, I guess.
I mean, it's also kind of worth considering too, like, this isn't like a new sort of phenomenon, you know. I had years ago when I was a teen, I used to go to a youth group, and there was a kid there who, he was in a wheelchair, he was disabled, but we went over to his house one time. He loved video games, and he had it was a whole custom setup to where some of the buttons and everything would be like integrated into his chair. But that stuff was all very cost prohibitive. Because it wasn't made by Sony, it wasn't made by Microsoft, right. It was some other third-party company who saw a niche in the market and was like, yeah, absolutely, we're gonna, do this here. And they absolutely did, but they did it as a premium. Now we're to the point that, Microsoft, Sony all have their own proprietary controllers. And the fact that, Sony did take as long as it did, the fact that Microsoft even took as long as it did, them being the ones who are, Microsoft, Windows, the PC people originally, it's a little embarrassing to some degree that they took as long as they did. I 100%
agree. I think that we do this thing in gaming because we're so beaten down. We're so used to not being people's first choice. When it comes to gaming, like, the industry is so mean to its consumers that, like, whenever somebody does anything positive, we just immediately jump to our feet and just like, oh, thank you, you're amazing. But nobody considers, like, how long you've waited to do this very basic thing to make people's gaming experience is better on a whole. And like, yeah, I'm not saying the controller doesn't take a lot of R&D and a lot of like people working on it. It definitely is an endeavor. But the idea that like this couldn't have been done years ago, especially with how compatible these generations are from one to another now. Even Sony is much more compatible because they're basically PCs. They're basically gaming PCs that you buy. So it's much more compatible technology-wise to have like a controller that just moves from system to system. The fact that these haven't existed until now is a little ridiculous, in my opinion. Like, yes, I am so glad that this is out there. Personally, though, I have to say about time a little bit. Like, I just do. And especially when your competitor, your major market competitor, released a controller 2-3 years ago that does this exact thing. Like, the fact that it took you... when you releasing this now makes me think that you were like, oh, they're being nice. We got to be nice, too. And, like, why weren't you just nice in the first place? Why wasn't everybody just nice in the first place? And that's something that bothers me.
Yeah. Sony also had basically at this show, not necessarily at the show, but during the period of the show, declared that the console shortages are over for the PlayStation 5.
Oh, great. And its lifespan's almost over, so awesome.
Right, yeah. Right. They said it was 40 million consoles or something like that have been sold in December or something along those lines. I don't know about
that's
40
great.
million.
It's great that the people who want that console can finally get it. I still maintain there's no reason to get that console yet. I mean, there isn't. Unless you really like Ratchet and Clank, there is no reason to get that console yet. There's no reason to leverage that technology. Every game you can already get for your PlayStation 4 if you're a Sony person. Wait until they give you things that you can't get. Like, there's just no reason. Especially with Sony, because Sony is the ones who are like, we're leveraging all the technology, and then they backpedaled on that. I don't think there's any reason to buy a PlayStation 5. Not until we start to see exclusive PlayStation 5 games. There isn't any reason, you know? And I know that it sounds like I'm being a hypocrite because on the Xbox side, I'm like, buy an Xbox, buy, don't, whatever. But Xbox's mentality has always been, buy the experience you want. Like, do you want the experience to be nicer? Okay. But the games are going to be playable everywhere. You know what I mean? Obviously, they've changed a little bit with the exclusivity and stuff because they're not doing what they promised at this particular juncture. They're definitely making exclusives for the new generation. But their whole thing was like, your experience on this is going to be prettier and nicer because it's a more powerful piece of hardware. But Sony was always, you can't play these games on the old systems. That's how much we're leveraging these technologies. And then they backpedaled. So I say don't buy the PlayStation 5 until they're leveraging the fucking technology. The only game on that system that leverages PlayStation 5 technology is Ratchet and fucking Clank. That's it. That's the only game on that system that can't be played anywhere else. So until they've got games that can't be played anywhere else, play them on your PlayStation 4. All right.
Yep.
So is that it? Are we done?
Yeah, that was it. We're done.
Yay! All right, guys, we'll be right back with the shameless self-promotion, and then we're going to go to bed.
Yes.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We're at the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, would you like to plug anything?
Yeah, we did a stream last week that I have to say I enjoyed that game a bit more than I was going to.
The game's awesome, man. Game's awesome.
I was thinking
it's one of the greatest brawlers ever made.
I was thinking it was just like a standard side-scrolly beat 'em up, but it's like actually open world missions, stuff like that, and it flows pretty well too. You have more than just like 4 moves that you do over and over again.
And you can keep buying new moves, and you've got the whole loadout thing is really cool too. Yeah, I love that game. I absolutely love that game. What Neil is referring to is Streets of Retro Returns. We did it last Tuesday in the middle of the day. I also repaid the pizza bet on camera. Neil got his pizza. So we're fair on that. But it was a lot of fun. Definitely go check that out. We're gonna schedule another stream time for the Lasso 3.
Yes.
We gotta schedule one of those going. So yeah, we'll get one of those going. There's also a lot of other things that I'd like to bring to the channel soon. I do want to say I've got some other special plugs I want to throw out there. Number one, mark your calendars, February 2nd. Yes, Groundhog Day. Myself and Wizards Respite are teaming up to do a TTRPG stream like no other. There is a game out there called The Last Tea Shop. If you have been on this channel for a while, you have noticed narrations that I put up from time to time when my voice is not absolutely fucking terrible, because this game is a 1 or 2 player journaling game. So we have decided to endeavor to do a stream of us playing it 2-player. He played the solo game. That's what I narrate. He then wrote the story of it, which is what I narrate. We're actually going to play the game live for you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a chapter, then we're going to talk to chat, then we're going to do a chapter, talk to chat, yada, yada, yada. We're going to play through the game together. I'm really excited about this, really excited with the collab with Wizards Respite, so kind of excited to do that. The other thing I'd like to plug is we have a new Let's Play going on right now that is awesome, and you guys have really been liking it. It is easily our highest rated Let's Play so far, and that is OMG ... M, Old Man General Manager. Myself and Grandpa Glamer try to outbook each other in WWE 2K22's GM mode. A lot of fun. We do a show per episode, and it has been just crazy awesome to see you guys' response to it. I cannot believe the views that we have been getting on that show. So please check that out if you haven't already. It's a lot of fun. All right, that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. My normal stream, I'm back to a normal streaming schedule. So Thursday morning, 11 a.m., Forever Communities and State of Decay 2. Tuesday night, Amateur Hour, we are fully into River City Girls 2, and we will continue to be in for a while. That game is awesome. And then Friday morning, we're doing Hard Rock Horror. I kill people in Dead by Daylight, which you guys have enjoyed watching me do. And then other than that, still playing way too much Oregon Trail with my wife on Prelude. And so just keep it locked here. We're definitely trying to find some new shows and some new stuff. I want to do some more stuff with Neil. We're definitely going to be doing a Wildermyth 330 with Philbilly soon. So we're going to get it going in 2023. So keep your eyes peeled, everybody. But until then, you can reach us on Facebook at OmanGamingDH, on Twitter at OmanGaming9. You can join our Discord. Link is in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. And you can also... I forgot what I was going to say next. Train at the Mountain. I do want to say out there, we did a big fan traction today. You guys have been so wonderful. Thank you for continuing to be fans. We really appreciate it. It gives us a reason to continue to do this into our... Well, we're about to finish up our 4th year into our 5th. So appreciate it. Appreciate all of you. And all of the work you put in just listening to our crazy asses. So as long as you keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. We'll see you guys next week. Sonic Frontiers yet?
No, I'm still trying to get through God of War.
Okay, I need to tell you about something in Sonic Frontiers. It is not a story spoiler, but I was waiting for you to get to it, but I can't not talk to you about it anymore. It's just been too long.
Okay.
The fucking fishing in Sonic Frontiers is the most bonkers, lunatic bananas thing I think I've ever seen in a video game. It's crazy. So, the whole idea is, you have all these places where, you got the overworld, and then you'll jump into cyberspace, and then you'll do that to gain keys to get the Chaos Emeralds, and you're trying to get all the Chaos Emeralds to get through the area. But occasionally you'll find a place that looks like a cyberspace thing, but it'll be purple, and you'll unlock it, and you'll just plop down in a pond, in an ethereal pond, with Big there. He's always there for whatever reason. And he's just like, hey, you want to borrow my fishing pole and fish? And then you're like, sure, whatever. Fishing, open world game. You fish in it, and everything you get gives you points to buy stuff. Just stuff that gets you further in the game. So the fishing actually helps you get to the end.
Okay.
Like you can actually get vault keys with it, and you can actually get upgrades with it and stuff like that. Here's the thing, though. The way the fishing work is you throw the fishing rod in, and then like you wait for a fish to bite, and when the fish bites, you have to hit the button as a ring is going in, kind of like Animal Crossing.
Okay.
And if you hit it correctly, it goes to an anime screen of Sonic's face with his eyes closed. His eyes open, there's like a lightning bolt, and then he pulls a fish out. But the fishes are insane. There's like turtles, full-grown whales, swordfish. But it gets even worse because then you'll get stuff like just trash stuff like a spring from Sonic 1 or like an old robot from Sonic 2. And they'll give you more points than the fish. They'll actually give you more points than the fish. There's no way to judge how much points you're going to get on each thing. You'll get like a turtle and it'll be like, nice, 2,000 tickets. And then you'll get this giant like smallmouth bass. It'll be like, 10 tickets, and you're like, what is this judged on? Is this weight? Is this rarity? What is this? I'm telling you, it is one of the most fantastic fishing things in any open world just because it's absolutely bonkers. Plus, and I don't want to ruin this for you, but you can circumvent most of the Sonic Frontiers yet.
No, I'm trying. I'm still trying to get through God of War.
Okay, I need to tell you about something in Sonic Frontiers. It is not a story spoiler, but I was waiting for you to get to it, but I can't not talk to you about it anymore. It's just been too long.
Okay.
The fucking fishing in Sonic Frontiers is the most bonkers, lunatic bananas thing I think I've ever seen in a video game. Like, it's crazy. So, like, the whole idea is, like, you have all these places where, like, you got the overworld, and then you'll jump into cyberspace, and then you'll do that to gain keys to get the Chaos Emeralds, and you're trying to get all the Chaos Emeralds to get through the area. But occasionally you'll find a place that looks like a cyberspace thing, but it'll be purple, and you'll unlock it, and you'll just plop down in a pond, in like an ethereal pond, with Big there. He's always there for whatever reason. And he's just like, hey, you want to borrow my fishing pole and fish? And then you're like, sure, whatever, fishing, open world game. You fish in it, and everything you get gives you points to buy stuff. Like just stuff that gets you further in the game. So the fishing actually helps you get to the end. Like you can actually get vault keys with it, and you can actually get upgrades with it and stuff like that. Here's the thing, though. The way the fishing work is you throw the fishing rod in, and then like you wait for a fish to bite, and when the fish bites, you have to hit the button as a ring is going in, kind of like Animal Crossing.
Okay.
And if you hit it correctly, it goes to an anime screen of Sonic's face with his eyes closed. His eyes open, there's like a lightning bolt, and then he pulls a fish out. But the fishes are insane. There's like turtles, full-grown whales, swordfish. But it gets even worse because then you'll get stuff like just trash stuff like a spring from Sonic 1 or like an old robot from Sonic 2. And they'll give you more points than the fish. They'll actually give you more points than the fish. There's no way to judge how much points you're going to get on each thing. You'll get like a turtle, and it'll be like, nice, 2,000 tickets. And then you'll get this giant, like, smallmouth bass. It'll be like, 10 tickets. And you're like, what is this judged on? Is this weight? Is this rarity? What is this? I'm telling you, it is one of the most fantastic fishing things in any open world just because it's absolutely bonkers. Plus, and I don't want to ruin this for you, but you can circumvent most of the game by fishing.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So, like, it's even worse. It's like you could just play this insane game and beat it, basically. Game by fishing.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So, like, it's even worse. It's like you could just play this insane game and beat it, basically.